For you that don't know me, I am Amy Kellogg. I'm a partner at Hardesty, Crest, and Emory, and I specialize in government affairs. So that's a very long and fancy way of saying I basically do lobbying. I have about 30 different clients, and I represent those clients before the New York State Legislature, Governor's Office, and the various state agencies. So I basically go around trying to convince the state that my clients are right and they are wrong. So, in a nutshell. So I have a very busy job, and no day is the same, and let's just say that having leadership skills and having organizational skills are very important in the job that I have, because I get to think on my feet pretty quickly. So hopefully my background and some of the experience I've had from this organization will be instrumental today in doing this presentation. And I want to give fair warning to all of you now, this is going to be interactive because you've been listening to most of the EC talk all weekend, and you've been listening very patiently and quietly, so it's your turn to do some talking. So if I don't get volunteers, I will call on people. This is what I learned in law school. It's the Socratic method. You'd be sitting there thinking you were all safe and no one could see you, and all of a sudden they'd say your name and you'd be like, what? So we'll see how that works. Let's see, can I make the PowerPoint go? Here we go. So I have basically like 18 PowerPoint slides shoved into one, so we're going to go through each one point by point. But basically we wanted to start with understanding your role and responsibilities as a leader. So what does it mean to be a leader? Guess what? This is the part where you talk now. And I want to throw out again, what do you think it means to be a leader? What do you all think of as a good leader?
Confidence.
Confidence. Mentoring.
Motivation.
Motivation.
Charismatic.
Charismatic.
Vision.
Vision. Yeah, these are all great things that you want to see in a leader. And hopefully, you know, we all sort of have people that we look up to and people that are our mentors, and we learn different things from different people as we go through the roles. And I think that's one of the really great things about this organization, is that we have such a diverse group of women with such different backgrounds. And it's really interesting, especially sitting on the EC the past 2 years, watching these different incredible women and seeing the skills that they have. Like, I'm always amazed at Pat, and she has such a good way of, even when someone is disagreeing with her, she's disagreeing with someone else, and she has such a good way and manner about her of talking through the issue and figuring out what is really the heart of the disagreement, and not reacting quickly or with passion and opposition to whatever the other person's saying. She's really listening and talking through, and I really admire that, because I think one of the things I'm constantly working on as a leader is not to have that gut reaction to something, to try to listen, to keep an open mind, and to remember that I'm not always right, though I'd love to think I am. But to know that, you know, there are other opinions out there are other ways to think, and it's really great in this organization to sort of be able to watch different styles and to learn from that. And I think that's one of the most unique things this organization has to offer, that we have so many different leadership styles and skills, and women with so many different professions. We have a really unique way to sort of learn in that. And then I think one of the really important things for anyone who's a leader or wants to be a leader is to ask the question of yourself, why am I a leader? And it seems sort of basic, like why wouldn't that be the first thing you think of? But it's interesting, in a lot of conversations with women, not only in this group, but just across the board, when you have people in leadership positions and you ask someone why they're a leader, a lot of times people can't answer. And I think for someone who's looking to be a leader, or as you move through this organization or any organization of being a leader, really ask yourself, why am I a leader? And you know, sometimes it's a tough question to answer. And sadly, one of the answers we've been hearing a lot lately, and we're hoping as we move forward we get more energy on this, but you know, I'm a leader because no one else would step up.
And you know what? Inspire others.
Inspire others. But here's the thing too, you're not a leader because no one else would step up. You're a leader because something in you makes you want to be a leader. And what you're saying when you say no one else stepped up was, I was the one in the room that felt the responsibility to take to the next step. And when, you know, I answer the question, why am I a leader? And one of the main reasons I'm a leader is I like to learn. Because as a leader, there's always something more to learn. And as I was saying, this organization has so many different people, it's a really good way to figure it out. And I think the better leader you are, even in the organizations, that does translate to your professional life. Because as you learn those skills from other people and strengthen the areas that aren't as strong for you, that translates to all areas of your life, not just the organization that you're in. And that gives you opportunities to be a leader in other areas too, other organizations you wouldn't have thought to join. And obviously if you're in a group where you feel comfortable, like hopefully this group makes all of you feel comfortable to some level, as you get that confidence and comfort of being a leader here, when you're at another group where you're intimidated by everyone in the room, or you really don't understand what the group is doing, as you start to see some leadership void there, and you're the only one who volunteered, you have that confidence from the leadership you've gained here to hopefully fill that role. So, but one of the main reasons I'm a leader is to learn and to make sure that I can continue to grow as a person and to continue to grow within my profession. So that's why I'm a leader. So I want to throw it out there and get some feedback from you. Why are you a leader? And please don't say because no one else would volunteer. Anyone? Hillary, why are you a leader?
To inspire others. My passion is youth development, and I love to see young girls succeed.
That's fantastic. Anyone else? Socratic method, I'll call on you. Jan, why are you a leader?
Why did I know Why am I a leader? Probably because I have strong opinions and I am not afraid to voice them, but I also believe that others have a right that others have the same right, and I encourage others to participate vocally whenever possible.
Okay, I like her answer. Can I change my answer? No, I think that's a great reason, and I think inspire. I mean, that's again what's so great about this organization is that everyone has different reasons for wanting to be a leader, and I think there are so many good reasons to be a leader, and I love that you're right because I also have strong opinions, so it is nice like I was saying before, that sort of gut check when you're like, oh wait, I'm not right. There are other opinions out there. So, what about anyone else? Why are you a leader? Karen.
I would say it's because you have a vision and you want to see things get done a certain way, and you know that you can lead others to get that accomplished.
Excellent. All right, well, I'll move on to the next part since we have a short, limited time, but I will come back to this at the end if we have time. But I think that's great, and really what I would hope all of you take away from this as you're sort of going into that is to be able to answer that question, why am I a leader? And I said it sort of flippantly, but it is interesting as you have conversations with people saying, why are you a leader? And they're like, well, and even to have that understanding that even when you're saying I'm the leader because no one else would do it, there is an answer in there. And I think part of what we need to do as leaders, if you hear that from someone else, is to get them to understand that that answer is leadership. And to sort of accept that and embrace that role. And I think we've seen in this organization too, when people do accept that they are the leader, even when you volunteered because no one else was there, you didn't volunteer for the next level because no one else was there, and you were maybe the local chapter president, but you didn't volunteer to be the assistant regional director just because no one else was there. I mean, at that point, you're getting to the point where you're committing to the leadership at that point. So hopefully you can take that back too to your chapters and to your regions and have that conversation with everyone there. Why are you a leader? And if you have people saying they're not leaders, maybe you can get them to start looking at that a little differently. So we're going to transition to the next part, to know the basics. So now that you've accepted that you're a leader for whatever reason, you're a leader in the organization New York State Women Inc. So you need to know the basics. Do you know the mission and vision? Does everyone know the mission and vision? So one of the things I would love, I see Hillary back there laughing, so I'm guessing she doesn't know one of the two, or either. It's in our bylaws, it's on the website. I encourage all of you to go look at the mission and vision and to really break it down and think about what it means to you. Because I think, again, sort of the question of why am I a leader, when you look at the mission and vision, different words pop out at all of us differently. To empower women professionally, politically, personally. For me, given my background, as had me explain, I'm a government affairs attorney, I work with government. The politically pops out at me. Not that the professionally and personally doesn't as well, but there's little pieces of each that's really going to speak to each of you. And I think if you really look at our mission and vision and sort of analyze that, what speaks to you, that will help you become a better leader as you focus, because there are a lot of different programs, there's a lot of different committees, a lot of different ideas for this group. But I think what makes the group stronger is people knowing what makes them passionate and focusing on that area. And especially as you get to the state level, you really want people working in areas and on committees where they have that passion. Because Hillary has a strong interest in the youth and membership. So if we were to stick her on a committee that dealt with politics, I'm thinking it's not going to be the best fit for her. So you want to make sure you're knowing yourself, so when someone comes to you and says, can we ask for your help, you can honestly say, no, I can't help you with the politically part, it's not my strength, but if you need help with membership, I'm happy to help there. So that the best fit's being done for everyone. And I think too, you want to take also back to your chapters as you're doing some local, hopefully officer training, that same thing, get them to look at the mission and vision and and let them know there is a mission and vision. Because I think a lot of times, one of the great things about this organization is there is the local, the regional, and the state level. And one of the reasons I first got involved is because I loved my local chapter, and we did great things in the community. And as I started to move up through the organization, it was probably a good 2 years before I was like, what do you mean there's a region? What do you mean there's a state? We were so focused on the local-ish aspect, which is great, that we weren't doing a good enough job of making people realize they're part of a broader community. So I think if you can embrace that mission and vision and take that back to your chapters and get your members to focus on it sooner, we can start getting away from, I stepped up because I was the only one that would do it, because people will realize that there is a broader community and that maybe they can identify with a piece of either the mission or the vision. So keep that in mind. Halfway, okay. Can you give the New York State Women Inc. elevator speech? Now, I won't make anyone give their elevator speech. But this is important too, because a lot of times, I've overheard some conversations where you have people asking, well, what is New York State Women Inc.? It's a group of us, and we have meetings, and we do some cool stuff, but I think as a leader for the group, you want to make sure you have 2 or 3 sentences. What is New York State Women Inc.? New York State Women Inc. is a statewide organization with local chapters focused on empowering women, and then add whatever your passion is from there. And even if it's 1 or 2 sentences, as long as you can get out those main points, that's going to start a really good conversation about what the organization is. And I think as a leader in the group, you want to make sure you sort of have that elevator speech. We hear all the time that we need our own personal elevator speech. And I know we all struggle to work on that too.
It's hard to come up with.
It
took me a while to figure it out.
It's not easy.
It isn't, and it changes every time I say it too.
Well, that leads me to think that perhaps we need a workshop on the New York State Women Inc.
Elevators.
elevator speech.
Good idea.
So we have a one-day board meeting in April, so I don't know how much we'll get to, but if we can work in a workshop, or maybe June conference, or next year, when your president-elect becomes president, we can work on that.
Good idea.
Or something in Nike. Or both, or all, or... And maybe what we'll do is we'll reach out to all of you, and we'll throw it out to ask, what is your New York State Women Inc. elevator speech? Because I think as a leader, it's important we all have that. And one of the main things we learned at my local chapter, we had a fabulous woman come in talking about our personal elevator speeches. And the key was, it's really 2 or 3 sentences. Summarize yourself in a nutshell. So summarize this group in a nutshell. And tying it all back together, that goes back to what speaks to you. Because your elevator speech is going to be different than someone else's elevator speech, which is not only fine, but I think what makes this organization great. Hillary?
If you can't work it into that day meeting, which I think is going to be great. You mentioned the Nike. Why don't we give some highlights in the Nike, have a few people give them, and ask others to submit them, and hand just a little something out that shows everybody's elevator speech. That would be enough to really hand out. They can take it back to their districts, and now people can start to energize about that. I'm wondering if that's all we need.
Done. We have to have the Nike editor. Are you the editor or coordinator or communications chair? That's right. Sorry, I should know this. I wrote the leadership directory. I should remember all this. There's a lot of people. No, I think we can definitely work on something like that. And I like the idea of the handout and something to take back. And I think doing a workshop too would still be instrumental, because I think we're going to get a lot of people who can do those and give us great ideas, but maybe still do the hands-on for people who are struggling. Because as you said, it's not easy. So.
And I think if you can do the workshop, it would go beyond the New York State elevator speech. It would go to our personal elevator speeches, which is always the hardest part.
Yep, and we could do a joint thing at that point, and even take it one step further for yourself and for your business, for the small business owners. And
yeah.
Well, I think this was a good workshop, but we have a couple more minutes, so I'm going to kind of, are you doing your job as a leader? We're not going to obviously go over that, but that's something I think that every good leader should ask themselves. It's a gut check question. Are you doing your job as a leader? And while it may seem like, if you're a leader, great, why ask the question? Because if you don't ask that question, you're missing something probably. You should constantly be questioning yourself to make sure you're pushing yourself as far as you can. Because especially when we have that sort of residual, I did it because no one else did, there's sometimes a little resentment there, and because of that you may hold yourself back. And I think if we can get past that and have you evaluate yourself as a leader, probably the possibilities are endless. So
maybe that's another good thing. Am I a good leader? Have one of those little self-tests. Cosmo has them all the time, right? Why not?
She's got it. My only hesitation with that one is this. Everyone's self-test is different.
Yeah.
because every leadership style is different, which is a fantastic transition into our next topic, which is know your leadership style. What is your strength as a leader? That's the easy one. If you don't know what your strength is, you're not a leader. So if you are a leader and you're doing this, you know what your strengths are. You've identified that, you're comfortable. Here's the tougher question. What is your weakness as a leader? And if you don't think you have one, there's your weakness. But everyone has a weakness. And if you don't identify your weakness, that's going to make you an ineffective leader. Because that means that there's people probably out there talking like, oh, Amy, she's so annoying. She doesn't get that she never listens to what I'm saying. So maybe my weakness is I need to listen better. Or she says that she wants discussion, but she never lets anyone actually talk during the meeting. You know, just be aware of the chitter chatter around you sometimes. Because a lot of times you need to filter. But a lot of times, even in the comments that you don't want to hear, there's a message there that probably is identifying something you could focus on. And I think, if nothing else, it's, again, the strength is great, but focus on what is your weakness, because that's really what's going to take you to that next level as a leader, is knowing what your weakness is and knowing how to focus on that. And I think, again, sort of tying back to what I said about Pat, knowing your weakness and knowing my weakness was keeping an open mind and learning from Pat, that was a great way to do that. And this organization, once you've identified your weakness, lets you find people who do what you don't do well and mirror what they're doing and learn from that. So I think that's really important. And then again, what can you do better as a leader? No matter how good a leader you are, there's always something you can do better. So that sort of goes along with that question of, are you doing your job as leader? Because if you can say, are you doing your job as leader? Yes, great. What can I do better as a leader? And I think if you're constantly having that conversation with yourself, it takes you to that next level and can hopefully make you a fantastic leader. So I think we're 4 minutes. We can go back to. Well, first, before I go back to that, what does it mean to be a leader and why are you a leader? Are there any questions or any more comments about what we covered in general? Okay, here's a different question. Anyone want to identify their weakness and identify someone who you think does it well that you've learned from? Or you can do one or borrow a third.
I'm terrible at follow through. I'm great at giving the ideas and coming up with some really awesome stuff. So when I was told to be the vice chair, all you have to do is give me all the good ideas and I'll run with them. I'm good at that. But I can't, the follow through, it's not that I don't want to or that I can't. It's I get so excited about the new ideas and I'm always coming up with new ones that I forget that I have to finish what I've started.
Right.
And that's my problem. But I have people now, finally, after 3 years of being a local president, I have somebody that's actually helping me follow through. I write this stuff down, she takes it, she sends the emails for me.
I was just going to say, it sounds to me what you're saying is you're not good at delegating. And that's key, because one of the very important things of being a leader is to know to delegate, because part of the biggest role of being a leader is coming up with the ideas. And obviously there's some accountability there in terms of being able to do stuff, but as a leader you're supposed to generate those new ideas, and that's when you need a really good team behind you that can say, all right, your leadership team, hopefully knowing their strengths, knows what they're good at. So you can say, I've come up with this great idea to generate a new student chapter at my local chapter, or a new committee, whatever you go with. And I think the idea is great, and then you have a membership chair who then at your local level can come in and implement the ideas you have, and obviously you're still going to be involved and still have the ideas. But delegation is key, and I think, part of what we do as women is sort of the weight of the world is on our shoulders. And if we come up with an idea, we have to be the ones to see it through. But we really do need to work on delegation, and I think any good leader knows to delegate. Now, you don't want to delegate everything and make sure you're, but when you say no follow through, I have a feeling you have follow through. You have just too many ideas and not enough time.
Bingo!
So what you need is delegation, and I think that's key.
Yeah.
That's key. Anyone else have a weakness they want to talk about? Because I think, and that's the other thing, every weakness isn't really a weakness, it's just a really good learning opportunity.
It's an opportunity.
So.
Oh, we got one right here. She raised her hand.
Amy Jo!
I heard it.
My fellow Amy Jo.
Procedure.
Parliamentary procedure. There's going to be a section on that. And here's the thing with parliamentary procedure. And Sue will probably kill me for saying this, because I'm not dismissing parliamentary procedure or trying to minimize it at all. The purpose of parliamentary procedure is to make sure your meeting is running efficiently and everyone's being nice. That's really, I know that's way too simple, it's way too basic. But you're making sure everyone in the room has a voice and can be heard. So, At the end of the day, if you don't know all of the little nuanced details, it doesn't matter. Okay, Sue's gonna kill me. It does matter. But
there can be a circumstance where it can
absolutely,
matter.
there can be a circumstance where it can matter. But if your meetings are running efficiently and smoothly and everyone is being heard, you're following parliamentary procedure.
Absolutely.
Now, really, the only time you want to make sure you know your parliamentary procedure rules inside and out is if you have elections or something like that, where you have contested elections and you need to know what those specific rules are. But if you get to that point, that's why you have all of us. You can call us, someone can walk you through. It's not going to be me because I just totally dissed parliamentary procedure. But we have people who know that well. I think we've identified another of my weaknesses. But no, really, at the end of the day, Robert's rules want everyone in the room to have a voice. As long as everyone in your room is having a voice, you know it's going well. If you're hearing from people that no one's listening to me, I always get cut off, that's what you need to look at, is what's going on during the meeting that's making people not feel heard. And that's really, Robert's rules is sort of the formal way to walk you through that.
You just fixed that entire problem.
Excellent. We are so efficient in here. It's fantastic.
Because I can attach to that.
It's not scary. It's a tool.
See, but I
Ladies?
can attach to that description.
In the interest of facilitating these